So we're looking at a scenario where Ange Postecoglou has been sacked. Now, was that the right decision by Tottenham Hotspur? It's been done very, very recently. I think it was a good decision. I think the European trophy has been an unbelievable achievement for Tottenham Hotspur. Obviously, 17 years of obscurity when it comes to that, but they've managed to get it done. They've managed to seal a major, and well done to Spurs for that. You will see Mr. Johan Visser just here, and we're going to get onto that in just a little bit in terms of things that could fall down when it comes to the domino effect of some of the promoted teams being able to benefit from Tottenham's new wave of thinking. Now, how are they going to replace Ange Postecoglou? I personally think they're going to go down the Thomas Frank route. I think it works absolutely perfectly when it comes to Tottenham Hotspur. I think going to a back three, a back four, a deep block, a pressy system, whatever Tottenham want to do, that can be facilitated by the quality of Thomas Frank as a coach. I think he's renowned for being one of the best. And I think his adaptive intelligence when it comes to tactical blueprint is very, very good. I think he can do it to the best teams. I think he can do it to the worst teams and invariably get success with it. Player management has been exceptional on his CV when it comes to Mbeumo, when it comes to Visser, two players of which have come out this season and said how good he is. You've had Tony and Watkins in the past say how good he is, and there has been some serious, serious player development under this manager since 2018. Now, the varied talent, Bentancur, Madison, Adogi, all with sort of fluid needs. I believe that someone like Thomas Frank coming in could definitely facilitate all of that. We've mentioned the in-game coaching, we've mentioned the game management. Compare this to Ange Postecoglou. It's basically philosophy versus pragmatism, in my opinion. I think philosophy that Postecoglou is effectively wedded to, it's his managerial strategy, and that is that you will deal with it. In comparison to Thomas Frank, who's openly admitted that he adapted his strategy from Championship to the Premier League and basically is an in-game manager, I should say, and it's all about pragmatism and situational awareness, I should say. So I think a lot of these are going to be tick boxes for Tottenham Hotspur if they go down this route as well and working with constraints. Are Tottenham going to be sort of put into a situation where they're going to have to work with a little bit more of a narrower budget? Who knows? You feel with the Champions League that this will be opened up a little bit, but they're going to have a bigger squad now because of the Champions League requirements, of which it's week in, week out. It's arduous. And I think the brilliant thing about Thomas Frank and him maybe making that step up is his heavy reliance on being completely embedded within the recruitment team, which he's done with the Moneyball approach at Brentford. And it's worked really, really well with the manager being absolutely entrenched with analytics and AI. And that's been a brilliant combination with Brentford and Thomas Frank. The frequent sale of players as well, whether or not it's been Ericsson, Tony, Raya, Watkins, he's been able to adapt every single time, and it's all been about really not all of it, but a lot of it's been about the background and the recruitment, but not a lot of it, in my opinion, has been focused on the manager who's been able to get the best out of Brentford and then finish higher than what they did previously. So as we look at his previous record as well, Ivan Toney's become an England striker. Brian Mbeumo is probably going to be leaving at this window for 50 million quid, which is going to go into the club's coffers, which is going to really help Brentford. You've then obviously got the likes of Visser, who we're going to talk about in just a little bit. But yeah, I think there's a connection with the dressing room similar to that of Ange Postecoglou. I think Frank has connected with the fans as well, similar to Ange Postecoglou. You don't want to lose that, and I think Frank is that perfect bridge maker, in my opinion. You walk over that bridge, you've got someone who's maybe wedded to his philosophy a little bit, then you've got that pragmatic, tactically astute manager, which I would say I'm not sure Ange Postecoglou, with the greatest of respect, was. Dangerous set pieces as well, which Spurs fans haven't been used to. Now, this guy over here, Johan Visser, from a promoted team standpoint, Brentford, you need to try wrangle them in when it comes to Sunderland, Burnley, Leeds United. Alongside that, you also need to look at the manager. So the manager going, Visser has always been of interest, or recent interest anyway, when it comes to the January window and the summer window as of 2 days ago. And was there a little bit of a link there as well? But 2 days ago, Visser was being reported by SB Nation to be looked at by Tottenham Hotspur. Frank leaving is a massive opportunity there. The quoted fee is 40 million quid. If Frank was to leave, who I think is the perfect replacement for Ange Postecoglou, if Frank is to go, you would feel that with Tottenham's previous interest in this guy, it would happen again. Now, Visser leaving, we've already had Cunha leaving as well when it comes to one of the sides in and around the bottom losing one of their better players. So we're kind of looking at the newly promoted clubs here, and you're thinking, well, hold on, Matheus Cunha, the primary creator, the absolute primary creator at Wolverhampton Wanderers, leaving. You've then got Johan Vissa potentially vulnerable now. You've then got Brian and Buemo going to Manchester United, according to reports, for 50 million quid. You've then got Ryan Ait-Nouri going to Manchester City for 40 million quid. So all the newly promoted teams need to keep an eye on this, because not only does this affect the top end of the table, but if the newly promoted teams are looking to drag in some teams, you've got to be looking at Wolves now. You've got to be looking at Brentford in terms of vulnerability. And Buemo and Vissa, if they are to move on in this window, contributed to 62% of Brentford's goals this season. You know, you look at the direct involvement of Matheus Cunha. His goals per game ratio was unbelievable. I think it was 0.47 goals per game. His creation was off the scale as well. You know, you're then looking at the width and the offensive standpoint of Wolverhampton Wanderers without your creative outlets of Cunha and Ryan Ait-Nouri, and you've got about 100 million to replace them. You can do that as a Wolverhampton Wanderers, and you can replace, but they've got to hit the ground running, and they've got to be as good as these two when it comes to offensive. I felt Ryan Ait-Nouri is going to be a massive miss when it comes to recoveries, when it comes to offensive plan as well, when it comes to Vitor Pereira figuring that one out, because going forward, he's an absolute delight to watch. Pep effectively said he was one of the number one targets this window. Huge compliments. So the Cunha, Frank, Vissa, Ryan Ait-Nouri sort of rotation, the domino effect is all very, very preferential for the promoted teams as well. And the promoted teams, the big conversation with these guys is, can they recruit well? Can they keep hold of their best players? And you do that with some of these little bits of luck, and you're hoping that the recruitment isn't of the standard that you're expecting it to be at, because you hold these clubs at such a high standard when it comes to recruitment and bringing players in, the analysis, etc. The promoted teams could be onto a winner here, especially if they get their recruitment right. The whole narrative is we're miles behind. I think that's based on the previous six who've not acclimatized well. If the next three come up and they acclimatize well and they have a little bit of luck here, there, and everywhere when it comes to teams like Wolverhampton Wanderers, who are vulnerable for a big portion of the season, big portion of the season. Brentford losing a massive portion of their goal tally and an incredible manager. Can they replace those elements? Can they do it well? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. Do you think someone like Thomas Frank would be a good replacement as well? Do you think that would be a good replacement, an adequate replacement for Ange Postecoglou? Or would it be a step down? Would you be looking at Marco Silva? And then we can talk about the same things again in terms of that style, that manager moving on. Then a Fulham vulnerable. And this is all sort of positive things that we can be hanging on to here, everybody, because we've got to, haven't we? Or teams have got to in around the bottom. But let me know what you think in the comment section below, everybody. Would there be any alternative names? Would there be as much of an impact as I'm talking about here? Let me know in the comment section below. I'll speak to you soon. Cheers.